Thank you all for joining. We would start in a minute. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. I'm Bharat, marketer from Ramco System. It's our pleasure and honor to host all of you in this webinar. The agenda of the session is as follows. We will start with context setting and overview of the topic by Naval Sabawal, Global Head of Supply Chain and Logistics Practice at Ramco Systems. This will be followed by the thoughts of Phoenix Zhang, Senior Analyst at Forrester Research, for around 20 minutes. Phoenix focuses on the role that supply chain and logistics plays in improving business outcomes. After this, we will have Rajesh Kumar, Head of Pre-Sales for Logistics Business at Ramco Systems, who will share his views on the topic for about 20 minutes. The last 15 to 20 minutes will be for Q&A. During the session, at any point of time, if you have any questions, please type them and share them through the chat window in your screen. Your audio will be muted. The questions will be answered during the final Q&A time. Dear Naval, over to you please.
Thank you, Bharat, and thank you everyone for joining the webinar. As digitization continues to modify the global supply chain landscape, its unprecedented data sources and solutions will lead not only the demise of disparate information systems, but the rise to true end-to-end supply chain visibility. For suppliers and shippers, supply chain visibility serves as the foundation for strategic decisions and tactical improvements across the entire network. It is through the establishment of supply chain visibility that supply chain insights outside the four walls will be garnered and leveraged as actionable data that supports supply chain optimization. Today, companies have varied interpretation of visibility, largely due to evolving business demands and globalization trends. To a logistics service provider, supply chain visibility now in the current world will be the capability to monitor and register movements through a transportation network at the inventory level. Visibility of assets owned and in the network and their utilization status. Visibility of human resources, their capabilities, skills and availability. Visibility of revenue, costs and leakages. This functionality then leads to supply chain insights, which allows companies to learn about operational performance, strengths and weaknesses, changes in supply or demand and customer service capability. Supply chain visibility leads to supply chain collaboration. Supply chain collaboration is continuing to emerge as a fundamental change towards new methods of conducting business. Closely united with partnerships with emphasis on greater supply chain visibility and proactive response to changing market conditions are going to be the requirements rather than goals placed on businesses. Today's technologies are accelerating the race towards the development of new business models and collaborative solutions. This trend is encouraging heavy investments in technology infrastructure and software as businesses prepare to be part of this new business environment. While a few industries have already achieved this ideal state of transparency, businesses let's say in the chemical industry, that are better known for well-developed IT infrastructures or plant operations, and less for adoption of advanced supply chain concepts and optimization, are begetting one question: why do I need and how do I approach and achieve end-to-end supply chain visibility and ultimately benefit from the network-wide insights it will offer? You will find these answers to these questions in today's webinar. I now hand over card to Phoenix for deeper insights. Over to you, Phoenix.
Thank you, Navar. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the webinar today. Today, I want to talk about the importance and the reality of supply chain visibility and analytics, and provide a little bit market overview on what's happening in this market and some advice on what features to look for when you or your company are in the market trying to buy a supply chain visibility and analytics tool. So first, let's look at the 4 levels of supply chain visibility. So the most basic and fundamental questions people are asking is what has happened. So they are looking to the tools to provide answers to, what has happened in the past, and provide KPIs to measure the past performance. While this is the most fundamental question everybody asks, and most of the tools now in the market can satisfy this need, the next level question people ask is, what do I do? So they're continuously turn to the tools to ask the tools to provide diagnostics of why something happened, and also ask the tools to suggest alternative actions. And once these 2 levels are achieved, companies are now continuously to push the tool to the next level, is to predict what's going to happen in the future. And if it's something bad, what do I do today to avoid bad things happen to me? So, for example, people are looking to the analytics tool to provide predictive analytics and to evaluate the different options and the actions I can do, and also trigger automated actions. So, after all these 3 levels are achieved, and there are a group of early adopters and very sophisticated companies, they want a tool to answer the next level question is, now everything looks okay in my supply chain and there's no alerts, there's no alarm. What do I do? What are my opportunities in my supply chain that I don't know of? So they want the supply chain visibility and analytics tool to tell me what are the hidden profit that I haven't tapped into in my supply chain. How do I optimize and how do I improve so I can get to the next level of supply chain operation excellency? So as you can see, as you move up the pyramid, the maturity level and the complexity level both go up. So at Forrester, we advocate for a customer-oriented, a customer-centric operating model. So what does this model mean? So traditionally, companies operate mostly profit-oriented and a little bit customer-aware. And they want to have lots of data to support their business decision-making process, no matter it's from ERP, it's from financial systems, or from various supply chain management systems. And they normally will wait until they gathered all the facts and to generate all the reports and to have enough information, then they will make a perfect decision. So this normally takes a very long time and requires a lot of collaboration. And when you actually make the decision, you probably already missed the best timing for that action. And as everybody knows, no matter you're a supply chain service provider or you are a manufacturer, most of the functional groups are working in silos. So at Forrester, we believe the only viable operating model in the 21st century needs to be the customer-led. We need to orient all of our decision-making process around customer needs, and it needs to be insight-driven. Data-rich is no longer good enough. It needs to have insights that beyond data. It need to tell us that with intelligence and help us make smart decisions. And perfect is not the good option anymore. We want our organizations to be agile, to be fast. We don't want to miss our business opportunity, so we need to make fast decisions based on good enough insights. And we no longer can work in silos. We must make our decisions in a connected way. We must bring all the functionalities inside the supply chain together and make a decision as a whole. So what does this mean for supply chain specifically? Supply chain as part of a business functionality inside the organization needs to follow the same rule, needs to be customer focused. And in today's analytics world, there are a lot of tools and platforms available, and supply chain professionals must leverage advanced analytics to help them make better decisions and improve their supply chain efficiency and better serve their customer. And traditionally, most of the visibility are, be milestone-based, or have you need to wait a weekly status update, or a quarterly updates. Those are no longer good enough. In today's supply chain, we need real-time visibility, and I think a lot of the vendors in this market are trying to push for that through different ways. And like I mentioned before, supply chain, even though supply chain is one function inside a big organization, it also have many different parts, like warehousing, logistics, financial, and carrier management, and all of that. And they no longer can work in silos. We must bring everybody together and make a decision as a company. So on this slide, at Forrester, I have the privilege to work with a lot of shippers and also a lot of logistics service providers who are trying to improve their supply chain visibility and analytics capabilities. And they also shared with me some of their practice today. And this slides, I think, best summarized the current state of many companies that are struggling in the supply chain visibility and analytics field. So this is a typical supply chain. Generally, you will have your procurement department or purchasing department manage or oversee suppliers. They will measure supplier risk. They will monitor the quantity of supply, the quality, and also the supplier lead time. And then when it comes to the transport, you normally have your in-house transportation group, or your freight forwarders, or the logistics providers you're working with to monitor the on-time delivery, to update you on ETA, to make sure that your carriers have enough capacity. And if some delay happens, you want to know what are the alternative routes. And then once your product or your raw material reach your plant, it's normally the manufacturing department's job to monitor production, to monitor the machine performance, and also the quality of the products. And then move on to the logistics department. Inside the distribution center, it's normally your warehouse group, and once it leaves your dock door, then it becomes the logistics group. So normally those are the people who are taking care of the final delivery. And when it comes to the customer and your store, the customer interaction experience is normally left to the customer service team or some other groups that interact with your large key buyers. So this chart just basically shows every single one of the group working silos, and they measure a lot of things separately, and they don't necessarily communicate all of this with the rest of the company. So the decision they are making is, it comes from a siloed process. The decisions are the information, the reaction they have is very passive. They normally won't be able to proactively control or manage certain supply chain disruptions until it actually happens. And another big problem, it doesn't have insights. It's basically reporting what's happened, just give you a set of data or end with reports. It doesn't tell you exactly what happened, what you should do. And like I mentioned, if it only presents data and just numbers, it's not actionable. When people reviewing the reports and the analytics results, it's not clear to me what I should do to either avoid supply chain disruption or improve my profitability. So generally, this type of visibility, and the reality with many companies, they have very poor supply chain visibility and business outcome. So I think everybody on this call will agree with me that every company needs supply chain visibility, and luckily I think the from the vendor perspective, the vendors responded very well to this market demand. So the supply chain visibility tool today does not only track where your truck is or where your product is. It will it will have visibility to your product, to your people, to your assets, and also to your process. And the algorithms and techniques used in this data is no longer a simple EDI updates. Many companies are leveraging big data analytics, predictive analytics, advanced optimization, different type of algorithms, machine learning, simulation, and some more advanced companies are already tapped into the deep learning area. And there are many different vendors in this market. So there are specialty analytics companies provide this type of tool or a platform. There are supply chain management software companies provide this tool. And surprisingly, some of the large global manufacturers, because of their deep expertise in the supply chain visibility and the management area, they start to provide supply chain control tower visibility tools. And then some of the, not surprising, some of the B2B networks, companies that have lots of suppliers, logistics service partners connect to the platform, and they already have the data, so they start to provide such products. And the newer players in this category is basically the data and infrastructure company. Basically, the companies that sells large like hardware database, and they see the opportunities in this market, and they start to provide tools that help companies to analyze data and have a better control in their supply chain. So when making the decisions on which product, which vendor should go to, here are the 4 things I suggest everybody to look into. Number 1, the supply chain analytics tools today needs to bring all of the supply chain pieces together. It cannot only analyze one part of the supply chain that does not serve anybody well. And it must have certain advanced algorithms and techniques. It doesn't matter, it's predictive analytics, machine learning, but it needs to be beyond simple reporting. And the next thing is, of course, real time. Some of companies either leveraging the memory database, or some of them are basically refreshing their data frequently, or using other techniques. But real time is a must-have. And the last item I would say is really on the actionable insights. Buyers should not be satisfied of the tools that only provide you data, or only provide you KPIs or charts and graphs. They need to be able to provide you the actionable recommendations and suggest alternative options, suggest what you should do. So these are the 4 key features I recommend all the buyers in the market to look into. So on this slide, on the next slides, I want to provide a little more insights on how big data analytics can bring real changes to a business. So at Forrester, we do this Forrester Business Technographic Survey every single year, and this result is based on 409 global companies, and we ask their decision makers, which of the following benefits has your firm experienced as a result of implementing big data solutions? So 38 of the companies said big data analytics and improved data quality and consistency, which is very obvious, and 37% said they improved their customer experience. Again, bringing back to our Forrester, in the age of customer, all of our decision makers needs to be driven and started by the customer demand. And the 35% of the survey respondents said it improved their customer interaction and satisfaction. Again, this is tied to your ultimate profitability, and also improve their business agility and make better informed business decisions. So if we break this down to different categories inside the organization, how different departments adopt big data analytics, and sadly, supply chain professionals are really slow in this category. So we ask companies, which group or departments or firm are currently using big data, planning to do so. 69% of the IT department are using big data or planning to do so, and 43% operations are trying to do that. And when it comes to supply chain management, logistics distribution, it's all in the 20th zones, way behind the most of other departments inside the organization. And another question we ask is, what are your firm's plan to use big data technology for the following analytics use cases? So financial analytics and sales, those are the hot areas, and everybody's trying to do a better job than their competitors, and to understand their finance better, to control it better. And the supply chain analytics is a little bit behind. But from this chart, I would say I urge all the buyers, all the companies that have a supply chain or as a supply chain service provider, that to get into the supply chain analytics and the visibility as fast as you can. This is not only just going to bring you the operational benefits, this will bring you competitive advantages over your competitors. So that's all of my slides. Thank you very much.
Hi, good day, participants. So this is Rajesh here from Ramco's pre-sales function of logistic practice. It's time for a quick poll, and for a minute, after which I will continue with my session. Great. Thanks for providing response to the poll. Introducing again, this is Rajesh from Logistics Practice of Ramco Systems. And before I start, Phoenix, that was a wonderful session. Great insights, great statistics, and great overview. Thank you. In my session, I will touch upon the overall scope of visibility, some of the key visibilities that could be as important as the track and trace, steps to achieve end-to-end visibility of the supply chain, and some of the primary considerations when you embark on the journey of achieving end-to-end visibility. Contrary to the somewhat naive but widespread perception, visibility is a lot more than tracking the inventory, orders, and shipments. And gaining a holistic visibility requires much more than a basic track and trace functionality. It involves a command center approach or a control tower approach, and consistently working towards closing the gap between planning, execution, and orchestration of end-to-end supply chain activities. In first place, we will quickly look at the primary drivers of visibility. Why do we need visibility? First, globalization. Supply chains have become very lengthy. The end-to-end pipeline has increased, and this has brought a lot of complexity to the logistics processes along with it. It's very hard to have a bird's view, let alone a holistic view on your supply chain when it spans multiple countries, and the loss of control is an easy outcome. Paradoxically, the market expectations are not kind to this change. The current market is characterized by just-in-time delivery, reduced lead time expectations, commodity nature, and ever-decreasing shorter product life cycles. This means time has to be compressed in today's lengthy supply chain wherever possible, and this could be achieved only when we have absolute and real-time visibility into the supply chain. The next primary driver is outsourcing. Most of the companies outsource either to remove the capital investment off the balance sheet or to achieve competitive advantage or cost advantage. This has taken supply chain outside of the four walls of the organization of varying maturity, in which the outsourcer has little control or no control. This multi-party supply chain has again led to longer lead time, more inventory in the supply chain, complex upstream and downstream logistics processes, and all of these take us back into the need for time compression in the supply chain, which could be achieved with the help of visibility. The third thing is downward pressure on price. There is intense competition everywhere. Boutique players have come up. Brand loyalty has come down, and the commodity market has taken over, which means that cost plays a major role in making the decisions, purchasing decisions. So in order to stay competitive while sustaining a healthy margin requires very cost-effective operations. And when you don't have real-time visibility and the access to data as and when they occur, it's hard to know your accurate cost position and take cost control measures. And the last one, which is ever-increasing customer demands. Reduced lead time and just-in-time delivery have become the norms of today's customer expectations. Inventory is considered inefficiency, and then the commodity market, which makes availability a key criteria. This calls for, again, absolute real-time visibility to balance the demand with timely supply. And on top of this, the current business environments. Today's world, be it business, economic, or political, is increasingly subjected to unexpected interruptions, and supply chains are highly vulnerable to these interruptions. To sustain the operations in such a turbulent environment requires the ability to predict the interruptions before they occur and also build the resilience in the supply chain so that we can recover with minimal impact to cost, reputation, and service levels should they occur. So these are the primary drivers. So with this, I will move to what visibility does at a high level. So before I talk about the challenges to visibility, I will also highlight what visibility brings to the table. The 4 R's of supply chain are well known to everyone, and these are the foundation of a successful supply chain, which is responsiveness, reliability, resilience, and relationships. The end-to-end visibility into supply chain helps you to attain or achieve these 4 R's. Responsiveness is the ability to respond to customer expectations in ever-decreasing time frame. It's not only the shorter lead time, customers also expect flexibility and custom solutions. For an example, think about the pilot program by Amazon last year to make prime deliveries right to the trunk of customers' cars to avoid failed delivery attempts to homes and offices. With more inclination towards demand-driven supply chain, agility becomes very important, and visibility is a prerequisite to achieve the agility. The second R is reliability, which is excess inventory exists in the supply chain because of uncertainty. It could be uncertainty about the future demands, uncertainty about a particular supplier's inefficiency or not availability, and etc. By improving this pipeline visibility in the supply chain, the need for this buffer inventory goes away. Think of an example in which a shirt manufacturer seamlessly connected upstream through the weavers of fabrics and the manufacturers of fibers, and connected downstream through the distributors with the retailers and the consumers. That's the second R, which is responsiveness, then reliability. The third one is resilience. Visibility helps you to achieve the resilience, which is the ability of the supply chain to cope with unexpected disturbances. So the resilience starts with a clear understanding of where the supply chain is vulnerable at its most, and how to best manage the nodes, links, and critical parts of the supply chain. Visibility provides you that capability. The last R is relationship, which is nothing but, do my partners share my vision, goals, and objectives? Do we have access to each other's data which could serve the overall performance of the supply chain? Are we integrated in terms of planning and deliveries? Do I have visibility into the performance of my suppliers and how they fare against the industry benchmarks? So visibility provides inputs on the relationships too. So these are the 4 R's that form the foundation of the successful supply chain, and they are enabled by visibility. So now before we get into how to attain visibility, we will look at some of the challenges that impede the organization's progress towards visibility. One is arbitrarily and inorganically evolved supply chain. So this has led to an ecosystem of distinct partners with varying maturity levels. And with the distinct partners come disparate applications. So wide range of applications, varying technologies. Then there is a perception that attaining end-to-end visibility is very technology heavy and investment heavy. It was once upon a time, but now the technology has evolved to an extent that end-to-end visibility is a reality for organizations of any size and shape. And then the last is supply chain characterized by arm's length relationship. That these behaviors are changing. This arm's length relationship with suppliers. The practice of single sourcing is widespread now, and it's been a trend for some time to reduce the supplier base and to choose to establish partnership-based relationship with fewer suppliers. So these are the challenges that are currently preventing organizations from achieving end-to-end visibility. So now comes the critical part, which is the various visibilities. So these are some of the visibilities that make up a comprehensive supply chain visibility. Reduced landed cost, increased revenue, and high profit margins can be derived by achieving these visibilities. So these are visibility of revenue from the booking request till it hits the finance books, then visibility of orders, visibility of profitability at various levels, visibility of booking order failures, then the track and trace feature, which is the visibility of events and alerts, and the last is visibility of revenue leakages. So I'm not going to talk about all of this, but I will for example, I will take 2 or 3 of them. For example, by having the visibility into revenue across stages of the operations, the inefficiencies and bottlenecks could be identified and eliminated by thus improving the revenue cycle and accelerating the cash flow. I will go to the next slide to show a sample. So to demonstrate, I picked up a screenshot from Ramco's logistics application, which shows revenue sitting across the stages. As you see in the left side of the graph, you see that 39,000 worth orders or revenue are sitting under the invoicing stage, of which more than 40%, that is 14 orders, are more than 7 days old. And so when you have this visibility, by paying a little attention to this stage, you can accelerate the revenue cycle and you can accelerate the cash flow. So it's important to have this visibility across stages of the operation. Similarly, you see that 72,000 worth orders, of which 12 are more than 7 days old, sitting as open booking request. So by focusing a little more, you can, improve the efficiency in those areas and improve your, cost and revenue positions. Similarly, we will take the visibility of booking order failures. On an average, 3% of orders fail to come into the order management system because of insufficient or incorrect data. By having visibility into such order failures as and when they occur, the revenue potential could be enhanced. And another important visibility is the visibility of revenue leakages. Long invoice processing cycle, service provided but not invoiced because it wasn't captured in full or not captured at all, and accepting orders only to realize later that they cannot be serviced. And then to keep up the customer satisfaction, those orders are serviced at high cost, thus compromising the margin. These are some of the revenue leakages we frequently come across when we speak to our customers. We provide visibility into these leakages as and when they occur so that they could be prevented. For example, Ramco's logistics solutions come with a pre-order engine which qualifies orders before they hit the order management system. We qualify those orders based on their serviceability before accepting them. By doing so, the booking order failures as well as the revenue leakages because of non-serviceable orders could be prevented. So these are some of the illustrations of visibility, but I will go to the important section as to how you could achieve this visibility. One of the best and proven methods to achieve real-time visibility as well as the capability to dynamically respond to interruptions in supply chain is command center. In some circles, it's also called as control towers. At its most fundamental, control towers monitor, measure, and manage inventory and transport movements across the supply chain, and it also collects and aggregates information about orders, shipments, inventory, and status in real time. It's essentially a combination of people, technology, and processes providing end-to-end visibility. On top of this feature, it also monitors conditions outside of your enterprise, records every transaction and event, and rapidly alert planners of disruptions and deviations from demand and operations plans. Add to them the tools and resources to process and analyze the data gathered from supply chain processes. Control towers or command centers offer unique insight into performance and enable what-if analysis to optimize your sourcing, planning, or distribution decisions. And on top of this, give them the technology framework to connect with the ecosystem of suppliers and customers they maintain and manage the relationships too. With the scope of control tower or command center all-encompassing, it is advisable to implement it in a phased manner rather than trying to bring everything into place at a single go. So we will look at the steps through which you can implement command center in a progressive manner. So here is it. So as a first step, you can begin with achieving operational level visibility in terms of shipment and inventory data for either inbound or for outbound or for both, depending upon the complexity involved. So you can achieve the basic operational visibility to begin with. And phase 2 could be you can integrate with the ecosystem of suppliers and following the status of shipment and inventory against the plans and generate alerts whenever exceptions occur. So the first step is to achieve operational visibility in terms of shipment and inventory data. Second step is to integrate with the ecosystem of suppliers and customers and then plan the status of shipments. And third phase could be you can start tracking the cost and compliance. When I say cost, it could be product cost, freight cost, and accessorial cost, as well as you can also track the trade compliance information such as duties, tax, VAT, and other governmental charges. That could be the phase 3. And then the phase 4 could be procuring and integrating the right analytics tool, which comes with necessary algorithms to make use of the live feed of real-time information and predict the events before they occur. Once you achieve these 4 stages, you can integrate the planning portion into the command center, because the command center has the predictive visibility and they serve valuable inputs to enhance and optimize the planning in real time. So these are the steps through which a command center, a comprehensive command center, could be achieved. Having spoken about the steps to achieve a comprehensive or holistic command center, we will look at some of the primary considerations before you start about it. The first thing is awareness of your supply chain capability. So you should have complete awareness about your supply chain capability, the current position, the strengths and weaknesses, the baselining. Only then you will be able to benchmark. And second thing is you should understand the appropriate areas of collaboration with the ecosystem of suppliers, partners, and customers. So when you know the appropriate areas of collaboration in terms of KPIs, reports, and insights, it makes it easy to achieve the end-to-end visibility. And third consideration should be the awareness of systems for integration. Identification of the existing internal systems and external systems of partners in the supply chain for integration. So you should have the complete awareness about the systems to be integrated. Fourth thing is right technology. It should be noted that getting the technology aspect right is fundamental to the overall success of the visibility. A suitable middleware platform to integrate all applications and a platform to store and analyze every relevant data is crucial. There are proven cloud-based solutions that are available in the market to reduce the cost and complexity in this intra-organizational integration and dealing with the kind of, volume of data supply chain generates. And the last couple of them are the right mix of resources. To achieve visibility, through command center, you need the right set of people, and it will be a mix of technology, which is supply chain, IT, and reporting and analysis. And the last piece is once you get the right people on board, you should provide appropriate training. So to the resources in how to monitor the movements within the supply chain, how to generate and interpret different kinds of reports, how to manage the suppliers with scorecards, how to respond to events, and how to identify opportunities and act upon them, and how to predict events, and how to enhance the supply chain planning based on the predictions. So these people should be trained on these ones. So these are the primary considerations you should be aware of before embarking on a visibility journey. With this, I've come to the last slide where some of the obvious benefits of having end-to-end visibility. You reduce the cost of operations, you achieve OTIF, on-time info, and error-free documentation orders, increasing yield, revenue leakages are prevented and arrested, then optimization of revenue, then enhanced customer service, great analytics capabilities, elimination of redundancy and manual effort, and then operational readiness in this dynamic business environment. So these are some of the benefits. So with this, I've come to the end.
Thank you, Rajesh. Let me just see the set of questions and pass them to the panelist. Phoenix, the question is, the requirement for visibility is very clear, but how do we measure the cost benefit of these tools before or after implementing the visibility tools?
Yeah, that is a very, very good question, and I think a lot of companies in this market are trying to see the ROIs and how to justify purchasing such products. I think there are a few ways to measure it. Like we talked about the benefits in the supply chain. The benefit does not only comes in having visibilities. Benefits can come in reduced inventory level. For example, one of the company I work with that implemented a global control tower tool, and they are able to reduce their inventory by about a third, and they are pushing for 50% of inventory reduction, so that's a huge benefit. And there are some other benefits that you might not be able to quantify, but you can qualify. So for example, here in the States, if you will ship to Walmart or Target in those big box stores, your on-time delivery requirement is near 100%. And even if you miss one of that, you will incur a lot of redelivery fees. You will have a penalty from the buyers. So all of those you can quantify those, and so those are the clear benefits. And I think there's some other benefits like so for example, without visibility, it's hard for you to plan or react to to supply chain disruptions, and there's the cost associated with the passive decision-making process. But with a visibility tool, you are able to proactively making a decision, and that will definitely reduce the cost of your basically how you deal with such disruptions. So those are the things you can quantify. So just do not only look at the benefits of the visibility, just a tracking part. Think about the joint visibility, what the visibility gives you inside the entire supply chain organization, different departments, and how those insight-driven and better decisions give you compared to when you don't have them.
Thanks, Phoenix. There are couple of questions from a Ramco point of view. One is from Mr. Aslam Khan. What, in your opinion, is the most important consideration when setting up a multi-party control tower from Ramco's perspective? From Ramco's perspective, what is the most important consideration when setting up a multi-party control tower? I would request Naval or Rajesh to take that. Naval to.
Thanks for the question. The considerations are to actually first measure the level of maturity that you have in terms of your data capture, data purity, and processes. And based on the level of maturity, then one assesses whether you have the infrastructure and technology software to operate a command center for visibility. Once you've done that, you match that with the strategy and objectives of your organization. Think what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve customer service? You want to improve inventory or optimize inventory? You want to improve on-time input deliveries? Based on these combinations, you actually then draw out a roadmap and think, how do I improve my maturity in my processes, data capture, and data purity? What do I need to invest on my technology and infrastructure to finally achieve the final goal and my stated objective? Thank you.
Okay, Naval. There is one more question that is directed from Ramco perspective. On the topic we are covering, the topic mentioned Uberization. So I think the question is related to that. From a sharing economy point of view, demand supply matching is a key player. How do we predict this?
Now, demand supply matching has different levels. You want to match demand and supply at the inventory level. You want to match demand and supply at the service level, which is your transportation capacity that's required. Now, you could do this on a short-term tactical basis. You could do it on a mid-term and a long-term basis, and for which, as was brought out by Phoenix in our presentation, that it's not just about data and visibility, it's about adding advanced algorithms to be able to do that predictability. From a Ramco point of view, we have an engine called the IQ engine, which is pre-built with 40 plus algorithms and multi-agents to be able to achieve the tactical predictability that you need to match demand and supply, as well as mid-term and long-term predictability to even out the differences between demand and supply that are likely to occur in the future.
Thanks, Naval. Next, there is a question to Rajesh. Good evening. My name is Prasanjit, pursuing MBA in Operations Management. My question is, how do you differentiate command center and CPFR, collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment technique?
So Prashant, so the concepts of collaborative planning or integrated planning or collaborative forecasting and replenishment, these are integral or subsets of command center. Once you achieve the highest level of maturity in terms of your command center operations, these tools, will form the, operations. So as I said before, you start with the basic operational visibility tool, and then you slowly build on top of it by integrating the ecosystem of suppliers, partners, and customers, and then you start tracking the cost and compliance. Then, you start doing the analysis, and on top, you bring the planning under the purview of command center. The moment you bring the planning, and that evolves into collaborative planning, and that's where these tools, the integrated planning and forecasting, come into place. So I would say these tools are subsets of command center operations at the highest level.
Thanks, Rajesh. One more question to you from Ishwar Padmanabhan. Rajesh, you mentioned about primary considerations. Is this inclusive or exhaustive?
Padmanabhan, no. These are the primary considerations you should be aware of, but I wouldn't say call them as exhaustive. because there are other considerations too, such as obtaining the buy-in from the suppliers and customers to come into the ecosystem of integration, and there are quite a few. But at the highest level, when someone embarks on the journey of visibility, these are the considerations they should think of. But this is not exhaustive.
Thanks, Rajesh. The next question is for Phoenix. Supply chain professionals are slow adopters. Kindly elucidate. Is it inhibition to change?
I would say, supply chain, at least in the States and some other countries, I know that the supply chain professionals are like just like every other business functionality. They are not very innovative, and they normally resist changes. And especially, a lot of these people are coming from operational background, and they have done this job for many years, and has always been doing the job in the same way. So when you bring some advanced analytics, especially like big data or predictive analytics that has a lot of math and algorithm they do not understand easily behind it, we find it's hard for people to accept the results and to implement that. So and I think that's one side of the story. And another side is in the supply chain world, I think there's a urgency to acquire more talent in the analytics world. So my experience with a lot of organizations, the supply chain professionals are not necessarily very tech or data savvy, so they don't have enough people who understand the benefits of big data analytics or any type of analytics and see how that will help them. That's why they are kind of slow in this manner. And I think the last thing is the supply chain is really a very fundamental business functionality process inside organization. It has huge business impact, and if you think about the recent company failures or major crisis related to supply chains, it has supply chain touches every single part, and especially for manufacturers, and not even mention about logistics providers. So people are reluctant to touch supply chain and to make changes because it's going to impact everybody. So I think these are the three reasons why the supply chain professionals are slow adopters. But I would say, at least in the States, just thinking about the market and how many vendors are out there in the market providing all kinds of analytics and visibility tools. So there's definitely a increasing market demand in this category, and people start to realize the benefits of it. And I remember talking to a very large vendor here in the States, and what he shared with me is, generally financials and sales are the department that start work with the big data analytics first. And once the other departments see the benefits of they quickly follow up. So I would say, even though right now, based on our survey, supply chain professionals are a little bit on the slow side, but I would say they will definitely catch up in the next few years.
Thanks, Phoenix. The next question is for Rajesh. From Anand Sudha, what are the typical KPIs to measure level of supply chain visibility? From Anand Sudha.
Yeah, hi Anand. Some of the key KPIs are, one is the perfect order is always a KPI to consider. The achievement of or increase in the perfect order achievement, and the decrease in total landed cost, that's another KPI you can measure. And the compliance, increase in compliance to trade regulations. And you can also measure in terms of the frequency, decrease in the frequency of out of stock inventory. So these are some of the KPIs you can associate with the visibility for command center operations.
Thanks, Rajesh. The next question I think is for Naval from Raj Krishnan Ramachandran. The question is, how does the concept of Uberization of transport weigh against existing long-term contracts with service providers? Don't you think it can open up challenges on visibility itself?
It's a very interesting question. The way to look at it is that Uberization is not just about demand and supply match. Uberization is also about being able to predict on positioning my transportation assets and capacity at places where demand are likely. If you look at the utilization of the transportation assets and capacity globally, at any given point of time, there is not more than every asset and its capacity is not earning more than 27% revenue of what it's capable of. So 73% of the time, the capacity remains unutilized for various reasons. And when we look at Uberization, we look at not just saying I've been able to match demand and supply, but also that am I able to create enough inputs and visibility for my suppliers to position the supply at the right place to improve this utilization. So if visibility is driven from this direction, it would be a win-win situation right from the shipper's side and the transporter's side. Thank you.
I guess we are almost done with the time, so we'll close with the last question. So Rajesh, can you throw some light on how command centers work? From Anand Soda.
Anand, I'll give a brief description and hopefully it will help you to visualize how the command center looks like. The command center has a vast screen depicting an integral overview of all freight flows, providing supply chain visibility across divisions. You will have a huge screen in front of you showing flows across divisions, countries, and modes. So here is a screen which shows that vast screen I mentioned about, and this screen will be closely monitored by a team of analysts with the support of a set of detailed decision-making rules and algorithms. That's what it is. It's essentially a combination of technology, people, and processes. What's depicted in front of you is a real life command center operation.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thanks, guys. We're just running out of time, so we'll end the webinar now. Just one quick request. With respect to further questions, if there are any further questions, feel free to share with us. Any thoughts, feedback, please feel free to share. The recording of this webinar will be shared mid next week with all of you. Thanks again for joining. Wish you a wonderful time ahead. Thank you.